Once again, it is Monday, and today is Monday, April 8th. We have a great show here for you, the news headlines, weather report, and today in history. Because it is Monday, we welcome the Gleason YMCA in the building, and we are joined by Lou Brito, Senior Program Director at the Gleason YMCA. And with him this morning is John Gonslavis, who is a trainer there. And this month is Parkinson Awareness Month. And they're here this morning to tell us about what they're doing in order to combat or to help people, those diagnosed with the disease, feel better and gain some quality of life. And also during our featured programs, we're going to take a look at a story of a veteran, a veteran who did 33 years in service. He came home only to realize that civilian life is much harder than he thought it will be. And for our coffee segment this morning, we're going to visit and take a flight up to the peak of the railroad bridge to take a great look of the Cape Cod Canal. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning Wareham set. So stay with us because the news, weather report, and traffic are next. I'm afraid that we're not going to see some sunshine today. It's going to rain all day long, but we're going to see temperatures much warmer, just like the weekend, but without the sun. It's going to be high at 54 degrees today and low at 39 degrees. Rain showers will continue to tomorrow with high of 49 degrees and low of 36. Expect no more traffic at Route 3 and 495. Safe travels, everyone. And now to the news. Yes, okay, so Wareham Week newspaper had the following headline. The Wareham Land Trust and the Wareham Boys and Girls Club joined to screen a free documentary, Saving Sea Turtles, Preventing Extinction, on Saturday in Onset. The attendees had an opportunity to visit informational tables and learn more about conservation organizations. And I have a little video of what took place on Saturday.
What is it with these people rescuing turtles? Why bother?
People ask us all the time, why do you do this? And sea turtles are endangered. The Kemp's Ridleys are critically endangered. The Kemps! And if they disappear, they're gone forever. We read an article in the local paper that sea turtles were getting washed up on the shore because they were cold stunned, and we didn't even know the turtles were here in this area.
Cape Cod has some of the rarest of the rare in the world.
These are all juvenile turtles. Most of them are 2 or 3 years old.
We may look like aliens, but we're your friends.
We start every season, it's a mystery to us what's going to happen.
It's looking like maybe one of the biggest days ever. We're knee-deep in turtles.
We've really transitioned this year to treating more life-threatening problems, trying to get each turtle to survive till the next day.
With so many Kemps, I thought the future of Kemp Ridleys could be right here in front of our eyes.
We are a life-saving service, so whether it be humans or animals, we're here to help out.
We're so close to making this a long-term success, we can't stop. It would be like fumbling the ball on the 1-yard line in the last minute of the fourth quarter.
And there is an extensive article on Wareham Week newspaper online if you'd like to learn more about what took place on Saturday. And so to move on, it is Monday, and we're joined by Lou Brito and John Gonsalves here to talk about Parkinson's disease. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you all doing?
Doing very well. Yourself?
All right, so this month is the Parkinson's Awareness Month, and you guys at the YMCA do a special program to help those who have been diagnosed with this disease. Could we talk about that program?
Absolutely. John is our instructor for our Parkinson's class that we've been doing for a few years now, but we revamped it in the last couple of weeks, and we'll be launching a new 3 times a week pedal for Parkinson's, along with some chair-based exercises as well. Registrations begin today, and we will begin on April 22nd. The class runs from 12 to 1. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It is a free program for members, but if you're a non-member, you can register for the program. There is a fee for that. But while you're in the program, you will be a member of the Y with your payment.
Okay, lovely. So John, tell us how you got into it.
Well, it wasn't planned. You know, I was looking to teach some sort of program at the Y. I have a really strong faith and belief that exercise is the best medicine. I think that it really helps with everything, and your body has to work in a certain way in order for the medicine that you do take from the doctors to be effective. And I just happened to go into the Parkinson's class, and I took a training through the Y, and I started teaching the class, and I became so excited and involved with the strength of the people who had Parkinson's and came to the class. The resilience is just so incredible, and I found that through teaching them, it just gave me more strength. And I always use the example that I'm the instructor of the class, and they are the teachers of the class, and what they come in and sort of show me or tell me what they need. And we may talk about problems that they have, and then we try to find a way to develop an exercise that's going to help them.
So when we talk about exercises, what are we talking about? Like, especially what are you helping them?
Yeah, when I'm talking about exercises, I'm not talking about essentially a really aerobic type of exercise. Though there are some things that we do that help get your heart pumping. But some of the symptoms of the Parkinson's disease involve balance, gait. The way you're able to walk, your speech is affected. So throughout the class, we do different things to help with speech, with balance. We do a lot of balancing exercises. We do a lot of mental exercises in terms of thinking, memory. It's just a whole combination of different things that we do to try to exercise the entire person. I think that they find that they're able to do everything in that class. What I teach in my segment of the class is something that I believe you'd be able to do from 9 to 90. And it's all about making connections within your body. So sort of somewhat of a yoga, Tai Chi base in it, but along with other things also. There's some strength training, but doing very, very light weights.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, by what John's been doing has been incredible. But we figured we needed that extra piece of mentioning cardiovascular work, where the cycling comes into play. So our program runs, it will be 15 minutes on the spin bikes and 15 minutes of what John is referring to, and then going back and forth. So that way they're not constantly being vigorously worked and getting the balance of both the cardiovascular work as well as what John was referring to with the balance and the gait and more of a Tai Chi based type of exercises that with repetition. Again, Parkinson's, there's no cure for it, and it's our hopes that by repetitive work and being active and exercising that you can improve your quality of life and slow the disease down.
And I think a lot of people who have Parkinson's, when they first develop Parkinson's, they lose confidence in what they think they're able to do, and sometimes that loss of confidence causes them to do less. And I think that through the class they find that they're able to do more, and by doing more they suddenly become a little more confident in themselves, and they venture out more. I had a gentleman in my class who had given up on tying his shoes because he felt he couldn't tie his shoes anymore. And we do finger exercises, and he started really getting quite adept at the finger exercises. And he came in one day and he was really excited that he was able to tie his shoes. But it was more.
And these are the finger exercises you're talking about, just
yeah.
simple movements. Such
Yeah,
as,
simple,
well, I would consider simple movements.
Yeah, they're simple movements, but as we progress in the class, I make the simple movement, I make it more complicated. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, then it's 1, 3, 2, 4, then it's 1, 4, 3, 2. You know, it's a simple exercise, but I give them complicated commands in order for them to do it, and I make them give the commands to themselves, so it causes them to have to think more about how they move.
And another thing it also offers is kind of like a support group. So they're in class with other people who are in the same situation, and you can kind of draw strength from each other. So it is exercise based. You are getting some of that, but also the emotional aspect of it and that social aspect that the Y represents. So you get that support group where, like John was saying, a lot of them fear of not, hurting themselves, do less, which in turns makes the disease even progress faster. So with repetitive exercises and that camaraderie of the group being together, it can make for a joyful exercise class for people that really need it.
And you have increased the days. It used to be just one day, right? It used to be.
We're going to increase
3 days right now.
Correct. It'll begin April 22nd. We'll start the program. It will be 8-week program. So every 8 weeks, you'll be registering for another session. So we will run the class for 8 weeks, take a 2-week break, and then run another 8 class. Again, once a week it was good, but 3 times a week. It's really imperative.
Reinforcing what you're teaching, John, right?
Right.
Okay. So tell us, let's talk a little bit about Parkinson's disease and the facts that we know. What do we understand about the disease? And especially from your work, what have you able to learn?
Well, I go to a monthly meeting in Buzzards Bay, which is a monthly meeting of people who have Parkinson's from all around the Cape. And what they do is they bring in speakers from different agencies who come in who will talk about medication, who will talk about different programs. And there are a lot of programs that they are recommending for people who have Parkinson's, from boxing to to dancing, to yoga, to Tai Chi, to spin cycle, which we're gonna bring into the Y. So I've learned that there's a lot out there for people who have Parkinson's, but the piece that is difficult is the motivation to get them to come there. And like Lou was saying, like if you were to see the end of the class, I'm always so joyed that at the end of the class everyone is smiling, they're telling jokes to each other. It's just such a I myself, again, I say I get so much personally from it, and they're my teachers.
I mean, like John was saying, we've had a nice group of about 4 to 5 people, regulars, that they've grown a bond with each other where they're joking, and it's our hopes that we can open the door for even more people to have that benefit, and we feel that, again, the more the merrier. That's what at the Y we strive to do.
Yeah, because according to some of the facts anyways, that there are around 50,000 new cases diagnosed each year. Right. So, our community is no exception. I believe there are more people. So teaching them about movements, and I understand anybody would like to mitigate this, their situation, but what are some concerns maybe come up from them about this class, or what are some questions you're getting?
Well, I think it's more, a lot of it is around the confidence. I mean, well, first of all, take the class. You have to be able to walk. You have to be able to stand and sit on your own. If you're not able to do that, it will be difficult to do the things that we're doing in the class. And the new program we're going to introduce, there's going to be more of us in the room, and there'll be more support so that they'll feel more confident. Again, to give another example, I had a woman who came into my class for the first time, and when she came in, to me, she appeared to be very, very fragile. And she went to the class, and she did okay in the class. At the end of the class, I asked her if she wanted to ride on the spin cycle.
Yeah.
She said, I really used to love doing that, but I just can't do that. I said, well, why don't you come over and just sit on the bike and just see how that feels. And I took her over and I guided her and I helped her get on the bike. She sat on the bike and then she started pedaling. And she went, this is the most wonderful feeling that I've had. I nearly cried myself because it just sort of exposed it to her. And she is like one of my biggest advocates in terms of the program, in terms of talking to others,
Yeah, this is great. I mean, and it seems like, okay, going back to some of the facts that I was able to pull online, people are diagnosed at very young age. I mean, 56 years old, that's still very young. Your life, you have the whole life to look at.
I mean, and some of the people are, former marathon runners, former cyclists. So it's really not just, people who are sedentary and not active. So that's the scary part about it. But like we were talking about, there's no cure for it. But you can slow the disease and improve your quality of life by being active and just getting out and moving.
Yeah, I think I've seen your class, John, before. I passed it, and it's very comfortable setting. They sit on chairs. It's not like rigorous exercise.
Yeah, it's relaxed, not rigorous. But there are some things we do. We'll do some, we'll do some light weights. I always tell them to pick a lighter weight than they're used to.
Yeah.
And it's more about the movement and using those muscles. So when they're doing a curl, I want them thinking about the muscles that they're using. It's more the whole process than the actual weight that they're using.
And you're telling me that because, well, this is the fact that there's no cure, but the movement and repetition helps to slow down the disease.
Well, I think that exercise makes the human body work more efficiently.
Correct.
So if you're exercising, your body is working better, regardless of what may be ailing you. Exercise is going to help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, and we're telling people that you go at your own pace. You do what you can do. So what may be vigorous to someone is not to someone else. So you do what you feel that you're comfortable doing, and then and it's our hopes that if you continue doing it, you will improve, you will get better, and your quality of life will, and that goes with anyone, whether someone with Parkinson's or not, or diabetes or whatever, cancer. It's the movement, exercising does help.
Okay, so Lou, please remind our viewers again, registration begins today, and classes 12 to 1 p.m.
12 p.m. beginning April 22nd.
Okay.
Like John was saying, we will have multiple instructors on the floor with guidance, with help, so it's not just one instructor. We try to help as many people as possible.
Okay.
In classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you want more information, you can reach me at the Gleason Family YMCA, located on 33 Charge Pond Road.
Okay, thank you to both of you for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Lou Brito and John Gonsalves here to talk about Parkinson's disease. This is the Parkinson Awareness Month. They have a great program available to you. If you need it, if you have a loved one that needs this program, registration starts today, and it's 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. For more information, please visit the Gleason YMCA in Wareham so you can learn more about this program. That is free to you if you're a member, and if you're not a member, then to see how you can become a member. So stay with us. We're going to take a short break, and I'll be right back with you. Thank you for joining us this morning for the Good Morning Wareham show. This morning we have a great featured story for you. We are going to take a look at a story of Greg Longfield. He is a resident here in Wareham. He is a veteran of 33 years. He was in active duty, and he, like any other veteran, wished to come home so that he can be rejoined by his family. But he discovered that the civilian life was much harder than what he remembered. So here is the ring of peace. Finding peace after 33 years in service. Yeah, that's that.
That's that.
Oh, this was going to be like this.
That's right.
Greg Longfield did 3 active tours in Iraq.
My job was to go out into the city of Baghdad, South Baghdad, and find out the needs of the Iraqi people, the government, building government.
He was part of a civil affairs unit, working in an urban environment.
So you're in an urban environment, so a lot of IEDs. I got blown up 4 times by IEDs. One was a direct hit right outside. So from that, I got MTBI, mild traumatic brain injury, hearing loss. But you know, the next day you're right back out on a patrol.
He did 18 months during his first tour in 2006. When he returned back to Wareham, he struggled with feeling at home.
I sit right on that couch right over there, and I sat in that couch probably for 6 months straight and slept there, you know, watched TV, raged at the TV, screamed at the TV.
When we're speaking about post-traumatic stress, what was that stress? What were you remembering? What were you recalling?
It's not remembering stuff. So here's what it is. I'll say it's a drug. You're on adrenaline, and you're jacked up because you're on so many patrols. You're jacked up the whole time. You're hyper alert.
The concept of time was the biggest trigger.
When you're there, you never stayed in one place more than 15 minutes, because if you stayed in a place more than 15 minutes, the likelihood of you getting hit
was greater.
were greater. I will tell you, the easiest part was going to war. The hardest part was coming back. Okay? Because you can't just turn that off.
Trying to battle PTSD alone took a heavy toll on his family.
You know, I had a son, who wanted to be his dad, and I was treating him like a soldier. I was yelling at him, screaming at him. I had a daughter who my daughter didn't even know me.
And after coming home from his second tour, it was clear that he needed to seek some help.
I was seeking help at the VA up in Hyannis, and they told me, hey man, you need to get a hobby. Your hobby cannot be sitting on that couch, raging at the TV.
And a hobby he found.
So, there's which stencil would you like to do?
Look at you. I think definitely this. This is pretty.
Okay, so.
Oh, I would have to say you didn't have to, but.
No.
Making wind chimes from donated and recycled wine and spirit bottles.
Watched every YouTube video in the world, how to cut glass.
After all, it was the clacking sound that the wind chimes make that helped him to cope with PTSD.
That's the original one right there.
So what about the wind chimes? You said when you were listening to it, you understood, I'm alive, I'm home.
Right. It grounds you. It grounds you. It lets you know that, sometimes you're here and you're just like, you are so messed up, you think, hey, I'd be better off dead sometimes. Okay? You do that. And, it allowed you to say, okay, I didn't do it last night. I didn't do anything stupid. I'm still alive. Boom. And it grounds you. Okay, I am home. This is my home. This is where I belong.
I was not built to break.
Thank you for joining us. That's a very lovely, lovely story, and I had a great time speaking with Greg Longfield. He's such a brave, brave man. in order to find his work. He is going to be at the Oyster Festival this coming one on Main Street in Wareham, and you'll be able to find his work. We're going to move on to the coffee segment. We do not have time for the history segment, but to find out cool historical facts, you can go online under history.com. So for this morning's coffee segment, we are going to visit the Cape Cod Canal. Hello, this is Queen Banda from WCTV. We are here today at the Cape Cod Canal Field offices. We're going to meet with few people from different departments who actually make the whole thing happen. The bridge, the recreation areas. So stay tuned. It's going to be a wonderful show for you. Thank you. My day is going to begin with Michelle Breen, an assistant park manager. So come on.
So I'm the assistant park manager. I work in the natural resource management section of the canal.
Yes.
We are in charge of the visitor assistance here. So the Army Corps of Engineers, that's kind of a term that they use for providing assistance to people that are here at the canal. Okay, so typically what we do on a usual patrol is I'll grab my gear bag. And my ticket book and my morning log. And what I'll do is I'll come out to the vehicle. Everyone's supposed to do a safety check on their vehicles prior to beginning their patrol. So what I'll do is I'll come in here and check out my warning lights.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, make sure that they're on in the back and the front. It's important for us to have these because even though we don't do, typical police work, we're allowed to have blue lights under a special permit because we, do enforce rules and regulations at the canal, and we also, because we own the 3 bridges, the railroad bridge and then the 2 vehicle bridges, we often have to conduct road work on the bridges, such as like potholes, or even we'll have to stop a lane if the electricians have to change a light bulb, things like that. So we need to be highly visible, and these lights help with that. We have them in the back as well. So I'll do a safety inspection around the vehicle, check my lights. I'll check our sirens and horns, make sure that that's okay. Look for any damage or anything that could have occurred that we didn't know about. And once I do that check, make sure everything's operational, then I hop in the vehicle.
And this is mandatory before you go out?
Yes, every single ranger that goes out on a patrol needs to do an inspection of their vehicle prior to operating it. And, as the budget allows, we are making a lot of improvements here on the canal. We've done exteriors on a lot of our comfort stations. The Herring Run recently we got some federal funding earmarked for rehabilitation. On this is herring are anadromous fish, so they begin their life in fresh water and then migrate to salt water and then come back to fresh water to spawn.
Okay.
And so when they're making their migration from the ocean, they go back to where they were born at Great Herring Pond.
Yeah.
And this, when they go up the river here, which eventually, leads to the canal,
yes.
They have to fight the current. So by having these stairs here, it slows the current down and gives them an advantage to get away.
Up next is Chris DeMillo, a patrol boat operator.
So we have the two 25-foot safe boats.
Okay.
So we have one out of the water. Well, they're working on our building right now. So.
Oh, they're working at the canal.
Ready to go. And then we always keep one in the water. And
Oh, okay.
That's actually used on the weekends.
Okay.
All the time. So basically we're from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 365 days a year.
Wow.
So even in the winter, we're out here because anything can happen.
Yes.
We exist primarily because the waterway provides recreation.
Okay.
So we exist strictly to help keep everybody using the waterway safe, and as well as maintaining the waterway. So all of our regulations revolve around safety of the visitors,
yes,
and protection of the resource, which is the canal, the banks, everything like that.
How many runs do you do in a day?
Typically
Or
in the summer, we're underway at minimum 5 hours a shift.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes more.
Yes.
In the winter, where we're not in our active patrolling mode, it's usually around 3 to 4. And I say active because just most of what we do is just we're first responders.
Okay.
So we are prepared for pretty much anything, whether it is an obstruction or a medical. So typically on a patrol, this is the great part because we are just out on the water.
Yeah.
But essentially what we're looking for is, right off the bat, anybody experienced any trouble on the canal being disabled. It could be any number of things. They could lose engine power, they could lose a rudder, they could fuel, they could, anybody that's owned a boat before can tell you that stuff happens. The only difference is when stuff happens here, you're right in the middle of an extremely busy channel.
Yeah.
As I said, commercial traffic, like tugs, barges, they can't stop.
Okay.
They just cannot stop.
Yeah.
So response time is important. We don't have a lot of regulations on the canal.
Yeah.
But we do have some important ones.
Okay.
And
what are they?
Things like speed and wake.
Okay.
Right off the bat.
Yes.
And again, that's just because you start confining everybody in a very small area. Their speed and their wake can compound one another, will mitigate damage along the riprap.
Okay.
The riprap here is susceptible to erosion.
Yeah, yes,
and a constant pounding by wakes will speed that along. So a lot of that is also the maintenance of the channel itself.
So what do you look for, like now?
So what I'm looking for now is just, number one, just you build awareness of what's going on in the canal.
Yes.
So we're constantly monitoring the VHF radio.
Yes.
So all vessels over 65 feet must check in.
Okay.
So we can hear them call in at Hog Island Channel 1 and 2 on the east end.
Yes.
The west end, or at the breakwater on the east end.
Yes.
So now we say, okay, we have large traffic in the canal.
Okay.
Next thing we do is look at the volume of traffic.
Yes.
It's a Thursday just before noon here. It's not that great. But this afternoon it will start to pick up, and by the weekend we'll see 200 to 300 boats.
Oh my goodness.
Transiting. And that's when it just becomes a process of just, number one, just maintaining a presence.
Yes.
And number two, just being aware of what's going on. So a significant portion of people that we assist either don't have a VHF or don't use it.
Oh, okay.
We're out active patrolling, we'll see it happen.
Yes.
Go to investigate, and they'll say, yeah, we're having some trouble here.
But all of the engine
Yes.
and functions are electronically controlled.
Okay.
And that's so that they can meet the emissions requirements.
Yes.
So this little computer here is like the brain of the engines, and it controls all the functions. So just like in your car, you know, your car has a tachometer to tell you how many RPMs the engine's running.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a speedometer. We have a way to measure the speed that we're traveling, which right now is about 9.3 knots.
Okay.
Because we're going with the current.
Yes.
But this monitors the functions of the engine. So we actually operate the engines based off of tachometer speed.
Okay.
Okay, and then we also monitor things like the coolant water temperature, the oil pressure, the state of the charge on the battery system, and then our fuel consumption.
Yes.
You can set this up to monitor anything on the engine that you want.
Okay.
But these are the most critical, at least as far as we're concerned.
Yes.
Okay, so the controls for the engine, this is like the gas pedal in the car. There's no brake. There's no brake. But this is like the gas pedal.
Okay.
So you have a throttle control or a gas pedal for each engine. So
Yes.
this is for the starboard engine. This is for the port engine. But again, because everything's electronically controlled, the engine controls, actually what we do to make them more efficient is we synchronize them.
Oh, okay.
So we have the synchronized function activated, so both engines are being controlled off of this throttle.
Yeah.
So if I advance it a little bit, you'll watch the RPM, you'll hear the engine change, and then the RPMs increase.
Yes.
So that way, the computer is operating the engines at the most efficient speed, and it's keeping everything matched. So your fuel consumption's better. You can see we got a tug and barge coming. So it's just like when you're on a road with a car. You want to stay over to the right side, and everybody passes on the left side.
Okay.
So a boat doesn't respond as quickly as a car does. A car, you turn the wheel,
you go,
it turns. It takes a little bit longer with a boat. So turn the wheel to the left just a little bit, you'll see it. See how it starts to make a slow turn?
Yes,
Now you have to correct, so turn it back to the right a little bit. Right about there. That's perfect.
If there's a person in the water,
Yes.
which is, you know, that's like probably the most critical of situations. Person in the water, we do have the life raft. It has a light on it in case it's night, and it's always attached to a line so we can reel them back in.
Okay.
All our boats carry oxygen. All our boats carry an AED for any heart emergencies or medical emergencies. Let's see. I can show you what. So all these lines here, we're able to use to tie up to any disabled boat.
Oh, okay.
Whether it's take them in tow or take them alongside. So we have anything from a larger line to that clip.
Yes.
I was telling you, we can tie right into the bow if they don't have anything above board to tie to.
Yeah.
As far as a vessel on fire, we carry a dewatering pump, which we can hook right up to our boat's electrical system. We can pass this right on board.
Yes.
We can dewater the boat if necessary.
Oh, okay.
It's actually possible to hook it up to their own battery system
Yes.
if it's a really large boat, but we are ready to dewater in case that becomes necessary. The other things we have on board is a collapsible stretcher. It's called a Stokes litter. And it also has flotation on it in case somebody's in the water, can't be moved. It's very difficult to take, say, an unconscious person from the water.
Yes.
So we can actually work in the water or on board. It also makes it a lot easier to get somebody off the boat if they become unconscious.
Yes.
The other thing we have is, like you had noticed before, the bunks, just someplace for somebody to lay their head.
Yes.
Blanket to wrap them. We
Yes.
also carry what's called TPAs, thermal protection aid.
Okay.
You probably see them after marathons. They wrap in the foil blankets.
Yes,
Yeah, we carry those on board. first aid kit.
Oh, okay.
We are ready to assist.
You're the ambulances in the water.
A little less than that.
Yay.
As I said, we're the ones that want to get you to the ambulance.
Oh,
just
okay.
as fast as possible.
All right.
This is actually a 6-person life raft. Wow. So it's fully inflatable.
Yes.
Either, hopefully not for our use, but in case we
Yes.
do need to, if somebody, people in the water that we cannot get,
Mm-hmm.
we could actually deploy this. Survival suits. I don't know if you've seen the...
No.
These...
Survival suits.
You know how warm the water is around here?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So a survival suit will actually keep you alive.
Oh.
So this is a full neoprene suit.
Oh my God.
With booties and gloves. The only thing exposed would be the very...
Yeah, your eyes.
Your eyes, your very tip of your face.
Wow.
As far as a workable suit, we do.
Yeah.
We all carry the Mustang. This is a Mustang working suit. You can see it's very similar. It's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's made to be worn, you know, with your own gloves and your own boots.
Yes.
It is a flotation device.
Okay.
This will keep you afloat in the water. It'll keep you protected.
Yes.
In any conditions. As I said, we do twice daily checks and even more in-depth engine checks on Mondays and Fridays.
And what are you looking for when you do your daily checks?
Our daily checks, we're looking for any fluid in the bilge.
Yes.
We're looking for, because that'll indicate a leak, either diesel or hydraulic.
Yeah.
We're checking our batteries, making sure there's no corrosion going on. We're checking our engine oil.
Yeah.
And again, this is all preventative, so we can keep these up and running when we need it in an emergency. So we can, these can really get on scene fast. So ideally, if we had a person in the water, we would respond with this boat.
Okay.
Because not only could we get there faster, but we're lower to the water as well. Just these cutouts alone.
Yeah.
On board, we also have a net system where we can actually roll it in the water and roll somebody on board if it's a real problem getting them on board. And shallower water or a person in the water, this boat can be there very fast.
Okay. Up next, we're going to meet with Richard Uronis, a marine traffic controller. So join me.
Okay. Well, we're here in the Marine Traffic Control Center. My name is Rich. I'm one of the 8 marine traffic controllers that work in here. There's one of us in here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. What we're doing is controlling traffic in the Cape Cod Canal. We're primarily interested in vessels that are larger than 65 feet or 65 feet and larger. And those are the vessels that we interact with on a regular basis, talking with them, finding out what type of cargo they're carrying, where they're coming from, where they're going to, what the name of the captain is, how deep the vessel is, how high the vessel is, when taking into consideration the bridges.
Yes.
And then they'll check in with us at various points through the canal. We'll monitor their progress through. Sometimes we run into issues with some of the vessels if they're very deep or if there's sufficient power. As you've probably seen today, the current can be pretty strong in either direction. So sometimes if they're pushing against the current, they may not have enough power. We'll just monitor their progress. And in some cases, we won't even let them in against the current until the speed of the current has slowed down enough or even reversed, and so they can go with it. But in addition to that, we pay attention, especially this time of year, to all the recreational boaters.
Yes.
We do our best to monitor their progress, monitor their speed. We have several cameras throughout the canal. We have radar. We have automated information system as well that can tell us vessel speeds and various other operator input information. If we see vessels that are operating in an unsafe manner, we can contact them on the radio, or we work closely with the boat crews, and we can dispatch a boat We work also closely with the rangers. We're kind of a clearinghouse in here for phone calls from the harbor masters in town. It's the Wareham harbor master, Bourne, Sandwich, the fire departments, the police departments, because throughout the canal there's a lot of service roads that people use for recreation, and sometimes we have biking accidents or even people falling on the riprap. Whatever it may be, we receive a lot of the calls in here, and then we'll dispatch either a boat or a ranger out to the scene.
When you mention unsafe manners, how do those look like?
Well, a lot of times people drive too fast.
Oh.
Just like on the road.
Yes.
There is a speed limit in the canal.
Yes.
The speed limit is 10 miles per hour for all vessels, which is just a little less than 9 knots. And a lot of people aren't aware of that.
Okay.
Some of the other situations that we run into is larger ships, one coming in each end.
Yeah.
We monitor their progress, and we prevent them from meeting in certain locations in the canal. One of those areas is right here in front of us.
Yeah.
This is actually the narrowest portion of the canal.
Okay.
So we wouldn't want 2 large ships meeting here.
Yes.
And then also we prevent them from meeting at any of the bridges, the Bourne Bridge, the Sagamore Bridge, or at the east end. Viking 2-1. On the Viking, roger that. I have no immediate traffic for you, and I'll take a call when you turn at the herring run.
Wow.
That's the Viking coming out of onset,
Yes.
the tour boat. He checks in every time he does a tour through the canal. He tells us how many people he has on board.
Okay.
I'll log it into the system. We'll monitor his progress. He'll call me when he wants to turn around to make sure he can do it safely.
Yes.
And then we'll watch him until he turns back into onset.
Now, may you please help us
understand
all this technology in here?
I mentioned earlier the automated information system, and this is a display that we use here. If I expanded this out, I'd be able to see ships from the Canadian border all the way down past New York. And each one of these lines indicates a vessel that has AIS. Okay. The ones that I have designated here are ones that I'm paying particular attention to. This is the vessel Sirius crossing from New Bedford over to Cuttyhunk right now. And if I want to use this information to its fullest, I can take his information, open it up, and get some great information on the vessels. This is all input by the operator of the vessel, so sometimes it's not always accurate. But in this case, I know the Sirius, he's a professional mariner. He has all of his information in. It's a 62-foot vessel crossing from New Bedford to Cuttyhunk.
Yes.
And then we can look at his speed. We know when he's going to arrive, and we can advise him of any other traffic that we have moving along the recommended route here. So that's the AIS system. This is our communications. We monitor several different channels, primarily channel 11, 13, and 14. And depending on where a vessel is in our area, we'll speak to them on different channels. This is just more or less administrative information. We keep a log, we keep times for vessels coming through. This is a transit system that is relatively new here, which helps us do our job. This is the one that we'll use to manage meeting locations and to get other information on vessels. And then up here is a camera display. We have, like I say, 10 cameras throughout the canal.
Yes.
We have pan, tilt, zoom, and we can use that, any of one of those cameras to gain additional information regarding people in the canal. We have security cameras over here, railroad bridge. This is down at the east end at Sandwich. We can see into the basin down here. The railroad bridge approaches, so we can see if anybody walks out onto the railroad bridge, and of course our front gate. One of the other things we also do is monitor the tide levels in New Bedford with these 2 screens over here. If the tides are predicted to be a certain level, and we believe that we might have to close the hurricane barrier, we'll send people down there, we'll monitor the levels, and if need be, we'll close the hurricane barrier to prevent the harbor from flooding. And then wait until the tide goes back out. When it matches back up, we'll open the barrier back up, and everybody can.
What are those levels? So what are the?
Well, the level that we close it at is 5.3 feet.
Okay.
And that's the level that's been determined to where damage can begin to take place inside New Bedford.
Now, what's the most difficult challenges that you face in your position?
I think that if you asked every controller,
Yes.
that answer may be different. But for
Okay.
me personally, the biggest challenge is making sure we drop the railroad bridge safely.
Ah.
We get several calls a day about the railroad bridge, and making sure we've coordinated marine traffic
Yes.
safely so that we can drop the bridge for a particular amount of time without putting any vessels in a tough situation. All the controllers in here will tell you, they do a great job maintaining that railroad bridge. It's an amazing piece of machinery. The down button always works, but we want to make sure the up button works.
The up button,
Right.
it's
So,
just as important.
we'll never assume that it's going to go up when it's supposed to.
Yes.
So.
It is.
Okay, what do you want to know?
I want to know everything. I pretend I am your intern, and I can sub for you as you're going to lunch. So I need
Okay.
to know what to do if the light goes on. I want to know what your routine is when a train is about to come here, the procedures that needs to take place before the train crosses, and when the train is done crossing, when the bridge goes up. I don't know everything.
Okay, then let's start. The train, first off, they call for the bridge approximately 10 minutes out, okay, when they're going to be here. At that point, I call the MTC, which is next door, Marine Traffic Controller. He's in charge of the canal, as the marine traffic, just like an air traffic controller. So he knows what shipping is coming through and whether or not there's any large vessels coming through. If it's a barge or a large ship, they can't just anchor in the canal. So if the canal is clear, he sends out a patrol boat, goes up current of me. Right now, it's going out, so he'd be up there. Once the patrol boat is in position, they know the canal is clear.
Yes.
They allow me to drop the bridge. Just a few little things I have to do. I drop the bridge down, and at that point, control gets taken away from me and goes up to the tower up there.
Okay.
There are derails north and south of the bridge
Yes.
to prevent the train from coming on the bridge right now,
Yeah.
which would be a bad thing. They'd get wet. So anyways, once I come down, I release my power to the tower operator. He lines the steel for the track, which gives the train the ability to go across. Once that's done, he unlocks the steel. The track is what I'm talking about, steel.
Yes.
He opens it up again, and then I've got my power back, bring the bridge up, and it's all done. Simple as that.
So they take away your power when the train. Wow.
Yeah, that's an old system.
Yes.
They didn't want one guy having the ability to say, "Yeah, train, come along," and then pick the bridge up, do a little joke on him.
Yes, yeah.
Two people have it, so there's more control over it in that manner. But
Okay.
it's as simple as that.
Really?
Simple as that. Just hit a button, it makes it work.
Now which button is that?
It's the one that says down. There's an up and there's a down.
There's an up and there's a down. Just as simple as that.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's about all these other Christmas lights that we see?
There's a bunch of other things that I really can't tell you about.
Oh. Okay.
But most of it is just indications of points out in the field.
Yes.
Span locks, upper and lower span locks, positions on the bridge. All indications that the bridge is working correctly.
Yes.
If something goes wrong, emergency lights come on, bridge stops. Hopefully it's in skew and it stays all good, and we come fix it and make it work again.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much most of the time it works all the time. No, the people, if you
out
look
loud.
at this bridge, if you have any idea of construction, this bridge was built 120% over what it was needed. The amount of rivets where they could have been done with 1 or 2 rivets, they put 4 or 5.
Yes, yeah.
It's just an amazing feat. It would have never lasted this long if it hadn't.
So this is the elevator.
This is the elevator. Yeah, it ain't much of an elevator,
I
but
think it
it's...
was just meant for one person, right?
Well, we get a few in here every now and again.
Now, what kind of parts? Do they replace parts frequently, or most of the parts are holding pretty fine?
Oh, I'll show you upstairs. I can show you some pretty interesting stuff. Most of the equipment is all original.
Yeah.
In 2004, we did have a rehab, and they changed a lot, like the motors, a couple of the brake systems, and so on. I'll show you upstairs, but the majority of it is all original equipment.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. All of the black equipment in here is all original equipment. The gray stuff was installed in 2004, except for that brake unit right there. But all the black gears, all that, that's all original equipment. And if you look, you'll see the corners on every one of them are as sharp as the day they were made.
Oh, my goodness.
Very, very interesting piece. But all this equipment has to get, I mean, there's like 50 grease fittings sitting right in front of you. Those have to be greased every week.
Yes.
Thank you. That's good talk. I can handle good talk. But that's all, basically, one of those motors drives on each tower, alternates each motor. 200 horsepower motors bring the bridge up in 2.5 minutes, 90 feet a second, a little over 90 feet a second.
Oh.
Backup auxiliary motor, if I have a major catastrophe, lose 2 motors in one tower, I can switch a gear, throw in that lever, and a 15 horsepower motor can actually bring the bridge up. Takes 2.5 minutes for that motor to bring it up, 37 minutes for that motor to bring it up.
Oh my goodness, yeah, please.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
37 minutes. You're just watching, it's like...
Oh, it's quite boring, yes. It takes quite a while.
I'm sorry that we couldn't see the full length of that video. There was about a minute left, and you can take a look at the rest of the video on our YouTube channel, Wareham Community Television on YouTube, the Cape Cod Canal video. That wraps up our show this morning. Thank you for joining us to review the show. It's going to happen tonight at 6 p.m. Rather than that, join me on Wednesday. Thank you, Wareham, and have a pleasant day.